Are you writing a lot right now? Maybe you're working on major papers and assignments. Perhaps you are working on a manuscript for an academic journal, or maybe you're working on a novel or a piece of nonfiction or other creative work. If you're in any of these situations, you're probably looking to have some really productive writing sessions in the near future. Yet sometimes when we intend to have a really productive writing session, it doesn't exactly work out as hoped. We might get distracted or want to spend our time in other ways. We might be feeling anxious or stressed about the completion of our writing project. These types of feelings can get in the way of our success unless we implement some strategies designed to help us in overcoming them and hopefully less likely encounter them the next time we sit down to write. In case we haven't met before, hi, my name is Jacqueline Beaulieu and I'm a PhD candidate studying higher education at the University of Toronto. In this video, I will share some strategies that I've been using to support the productivity of my writing sessions. I'm finding that they're working really well and I'm really excited to share them with you. A quick note before we get started, if the topic of this video is relevant to you and you would like to watch more videos on similar topics, consider clicking the subscribe and notifications bell buttons. That will enable you to receive updates from this channel as soon as they are ready. It also helps us to improve the reach of the content of this channel, and for that I'm very grateful. Thank you to everyone who has joined our YouTube community through subscribing. It means so much to me. And with that, here's my first tip. So one of the things that I've been doing to increase the productivity of my writing sessions has been really making use of setting intentions before I write. And for me, there's 3 steps involved. So the first thing is figuring out what can I accomplish in the time that I have to write that day. And I think about that, and what I like to do is I like to record it in this journal here. I find that writing it down helps to hold me accountable, and by putting it in this journal, because it's somewhat permanent, for whatever reason, I take that intention a little more seriously. Alternatively, sometimes myself and a friend, we will email back and forth to say, this is what I'm working on today, and with the knowledge that we're going to follow up with each other to see how we did. It doesn't matter if we didn't quite check everything off the list. What's most important is that we're able to sort of reflect upon why and chat to each other about that. Before I write, I also have been asking myself the following question of late. Why is it important to focus and make as much progress as I can during this session? And so what will it mean for others if you are as productive as possible and you complete your writing project? For example, what difference will your research make? What impact might it have? Also, what will it mean for you, your future, your dreams to make this type of progress? I also take time to think about what it's going to feel like to accomplish this and finish this project, and also like what it's going to feel like to hit the milestones along the way. I find that can really help. I find that thinking about these things really helps to give me additional motivation as I approach my writing session. So to give you an example of something I wrote down in terms of why my research is important, I wrote in my journal yesterday that my research plays into a larger question of what role students ought to have in institutional decision-making in the face of a shift towards a neoliberal university. One more thing that I do is I review my energy sheet, which I discussed in a previous video, which I'll link to here so I don't have to repeat it. However, what it is it's a document where I describe the types of energy I want to bring to a writing session, as well as what types of energy I'm hoping to experience and take away from my writing session. And I find that reviewing that document before I sit down to write helps me focus on the positives that I'm hoping to get out of this experience and to shed away some of the anxious feelings and stress and self-doubt that sometimes anyone, including myself, can encounter when they're writing. My second tip is to block potential distractions. Take note of where you are. Are you somewhere where people can interrupt you? And if so, is it possible to change that? If not, is there something you can do to let people know that you're focusing? One of the things that I do in my shared office at the university is my office mates know that if my noise canceling headphones are on, that means I'm really trying to focus, and they know to try not to interrupt me. Speaking of noise canceling headphones, I can't recommend these enough. They really help to remove some of the environmental conversations and other things that are happening around you and allowing you to focus in on your work. I typically will listen to some instrumental music or soundscapes from Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube while working on my writing. One of my favorite resources is an app that not too many people know about, and it's called Pure Nature. It's created by a man named Lang Elliott, who has created so many 3D natural soundscapes that just are incredible to listen to. I really can't recommend this app enough. Another thing that I sometimes have on in the background is Slow TV. And what Slow TV is it is a program that is filmed over many hours in real time of something. It might be a train ride, it might be a canal ride, it might be migration of reindeer. There's a TV station in Norway that's filmed a number of these, and because they're slow moving and there's not a lot of action, I find them very calming, and it's something nice to have on in the background. It helps me feel like I'm not sitting at my desk all day, but at the same time doesn't distract me from my writing. Another thing that I highly recommend using is a customizable internet blocker. I use an app called Focus Me to block websites that I've selected that I don't want to be distracted by while working on my writing. And that is typically Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and sometimes YouTube, depending on whether or not I'm using it as background music. Last but not least, I use a timer, in this case Forest app, to time my study sessions, which are in increments of 25 minutes usually. And basically what this does is it allows me to know when I'm done, and in the meantime, I'm able to sort of track my progress by watching trees get planted in a fictitious plot. If you leave the app, the tree dies, and so you have some motivation to keep going and not get distracted by your phone. As well, if you collect enough trees, you're able to donate a real live tree to be planted somewhere in the world where they are needed. It's a super fun app. I love how they have gamified studying, focusing, and concentrating. The next thing is to create a cozy, comfortable writing space. Ideally, you have a desk space that's relatively clear of clutter. If it doesn't need to be there, it may help for you to move it. Of course, it helps to dress comfortably. You might consider a warm candle or diffusing some essential oil to help support your focus. Plants can help to brighten and bring some life to your desk space. And really consider your lighting. I don't have a desk lamp on my desk right now because I'm actually using it to help light this video, but I recommend having a couple of different lights around your space to help create that cozy atmosphere. A really quick tip to drink lots of water. I know that many of you know this, but it's always good to have that friendly reminder that staying hydrated helps our brain to stay mentally focused and alert. My next bigger tip is to connect your daily writing goal to a larger goal. So what I've been challenging myself to do of late is to try and accomplish 8 Pomodoros per day. And what a Pomodoro is a 25-minute fully focused on my writing. So that's about 4 hours of solid, very focused writing per day. And while it doesn't sound like a lot, if you think about how 4 hours of solid writing adds up over the course of a week, that's a lot of writing. The reason for this strategy is to not tire myself out. If I write too much on a given day, then I know I'm going to pay for it the following day. So I've found it makes more sense to try and write a consistent amount every single day, knowing that I'm writing an amount that doesn't compromise my ability to feel refreshed and ready to go the following day. I also find that by setting a goal of 8 Pomodoros or something along that lines, it gives me a greater sense of permission to know that I am done for the day and that it's okay to take a step back after that's completed and do something else that I really enjoy. So what do I do in the actual writing sessions to make them productive? Well, the first thing that I like to do is a brain dump. So rather than, spending my time finessing individual sentences right away, what I like to do is I just like to put everything down that I can think of that I might write about. So I call that a brain dump, and basically I will somewhat time myself and just start putting everything down on paper, every idea, every possible argument, and I'll just start typing them out or writing them out. The next step is to create some organization to that. Start to move the ideas around, finesse them into points, build out an outline and point form, and from there, finesse that into sentences. And keep working that into an initial draft. The goal is to not play into perfectionistic tendencies. What I don't want to do is to be spending time, lots of time, trying to perfect sentences right away. Focus on getting your ideas down and organizing these. You can add and finesse later. It's also important to recognize that the goal is to hand in something that is great for this stage in the game. You know, if you're handing in a manuscript to a journal, like an academic journal, and it's going to be reviewed by some reviewers, most definitely they're going to likely have some feedback for you. So don't worry about aiming to try and hand in something that is virtually perfect. Hand in something that's just, again, really great for this stage in the game. My next tip is to take regular breaks. I like to take 5 to 10 minute breaks in between my 25-minute Pomodoros. I will also use a timer sometimes to help me time my breaks so that I'm not going overly over time and getting sort of enveloped in whatever I've picked for my break activity. That way I stay on task with the main event, the writing. Pick a task that helps your brain to refresh and rejuvenate. I like to read paper books or my Kindle, sort of get my eyes away from the screen. I might go for a quick walk around my academic department or go for a walk outside. I might stretch, I might do a Zumba dance from YouTube. I might also watch an inspiring video. Basically, pick something that will give you energy for your next Pomodoro. So a few odds and ends. First thing is to learn what time of day is going to help you be most productive with your writing. For me, nowadays, that seems to be the afternoons. Earlier, it used to be the mornings. At one point, it was the evenings, but right now, afternoons are prime time, and so I really try to respect that time and dedicate it to my writing however I can. The next thing is that your writing productivity is likely to increase over time as you implement your writing routines over and over again. It's just one of those things that gets easier over time. As well, if you really want to increase your productivity writing-wise, I suggest that you evaluate your productivity on a day-to-day basis in something as simple as your journal. Just asking yourself, you know, how did you feel about today's productivity? What went well? What might you be able to improve upon? If things didn't go quite as expected and you didn't get quite as much done as you hoped, don't be hard on yourself. You know, there's usually a reason for it, and what's most important is to sort of explain that to yourself and realize what it was. Make note of any things that you'd like to do differently the following day when you sit down to write, as well as make a note of what you think your writing goal for the next day should be. The last thing is to celebrate your accomplishments on a daily basis, and especially as you hit those writing milestones. You might not accomplish all that you hope to accomplish in a given day, but that's still progress. And progress is important. So at the end of the day, make sure you do something to acknowledge that progress and treat yourself. So if you learned something in this video that you think might be helpful to you as a writer, please give this video a thumbs up so that others who share our interests will know that it's a good video and they might learn something from it too. If you have any questions about this video's topic, which is how to have productive writing sessions, feel free to post those in the comment section down below, as well as share any suggestions you have on how to have really productive writing sessions. I encourage you to consider sharing this video and this channel with others who might find it helpful. And a friendly reminder, if you haven't already joined our YouTube community and would like to, please click the subscribe and notifications bell buttons down below. Until my next video, please feel free to stay in touch via Instagram and Twitter. My Twitter handle is @JackieBeaulieu, and my Instagram handle is @PhD Essentials. Until next time, wishing you all the success with your writing projects, and also wishing you a beautiful and productive week. Bye, friends.